Welcome to my channel, everyone. In this video we are going to talk about Render, TAO, Kaspa and ONDO. Things were exciting, so make sure to watch until the end. And if you also want to start trading with cheap taker fees, then I can recommend you the crypto exchange mexc. 100 tokens, 0 fees. Most likely there are more than 100 tokens to trade. The coins are always switching, so in this case, in this cycle you can trade Sui, Avalanche, ONDO without any kind of fees. Those are coins where we also talk frequently about. And you can also see on the right side a good list of altcoins. Most likely more than 50% of them are always tradable without any kind of fees on mexc. And the other coins for which you have to pay fees, you can save 20% on those low taker fees if you use my referral link, which you can find in the video description. I also want to show you something because I think you think, hey, okay, the analyses are good, but how is the trading performance? So I just want to say I always keep 1K on my account. If I'm plus minus $500, so basically 1.5K to $500 in that range, I'm not going to take out money and I'm not going to put in money for the 1K. So basically, if I have 1.5K on my account, then I'm using the $500 to compensate my loser trades. If I have, for example, 2K on my account, 3K on my account, then here's the difference, because some people are reinvesting that. Yeah, I always keep my losses per day between $100 to $200. I will also show you that in the month August, but I always keep my losses in that price area. So basically, if I have 2K, 3K on my account, then I'm not automatically increasing my risk. Then I'm still ready to lose $100 to $200 per day. I'm not ready to lose $200, $300, $400, or even $600. And that's how I think we are profitable, because for sure, if we are keep reinvesting, then for sure those kind of trades, it won't be 1.6K. It will probably be 4K, 5K. But this loss right here would be minus $600, $700 for sure. 30 days P&L, 4.3K in profits. I took that out. I bought stocks, for example, UPS this week. So if you are interested in stocks, let me know. Then I can also tell you in which kind of stocks I'm investing. But I'm a realistic guy. I don't want to lie to you that every day is a profitable day and my analyses are the best ones. I still think that the analyses are very good on my account and very precise. But doing precise analysis is the one part of trading. The other part is, where do I get my entry? With which leverage am I going in? How much money am I ready to lose for the case that my patterns are going to get invalidated? And what is my exit strategy? I can have a target in my head which is 10% away, for example. So this could be 10% without leverage. But if the circumstances change, then I also have to get out of the trade. So maybe I just take 3% instead of 10% because the market tells me, hey, with a very high chance, my scenario is going to get invalidated. And here you can see minus $50, minus 200, minus 76, minus 100, minus 123. Here are some funding rates and $128 in losses. But overall, plus 1K, plus 2K, plus 550. September, plus 1.6K, minus $177. So I keep my losses small and I want to maximize my profits. How do I do that? Really quick. I have just render open. Yeah, I will start the analysis soon. But for example, here, this is also part of the analysis. This is inverted head and shoulders formatation. So if I'm in no trade, and I'm not currently in any kind of trade, if we break it to the upside and I see a retest afterwards, then I get into a long position where I say, hey, for this day, I'm ready to lose $100 to $200. So if I have, for example, 4 coins trading simultaneously, then I would be ready to lose for render, for example, $25 to $50. So I have to set my stop loss at a good point. For example, this right now here is not a good point. The best point at the moment would be this one here. Then I have to measure this length right here, and this length should cost me up to $50 maximum. This is even if I want to be very risky today. And this happens if I have $500, for example, on my trading account in profits, so I can play a bit with my profits to compensate future losses if this is going to be the case. If we don't hit my stop loss, if we are going to get a follow through over this one right here, over the breakout point, then I know my analysis is most likely right, so the chances are on my side. They were also on my side before, but there's always a chance to sell off and to hit my stop loss. If we get the follow through, if we break it also to the upside, chances are even most likely more on my side. I can set my stop loss to break even, so this can be a ±0 trade. Or we break, for example, the $3.70 to the upside, and I can increase my position size even more. And what if I see another bullish chart pattern, even a small one? Then I'm already in profits, and I know, okay, here, for example, the target is going to be, let's just assume here, $3.93. If we then break it to the upside, then I can double up again, and then I'm going in with a very huge position size, with a very high leverage on my whole portfolio, but my position is always saved. So I can't get liquidated anymore, and I'm just playing with my profits. And then I take profits. And this is how 1.6K comes. This is how 2K comes. This is how $940 comes, and here's $550 because in that case it was still a very profitable day. But in the end of the day, I didn't had at the 26th August, I can just tell you right on the numbers, the setup wasn't perfect to hit those kind of trades. So I always have to see that, and I have to keep that in mind. So this is how I trade. I have many loser days, you can see it. There are many red days. But still, my PNL since 30 days is plus 4.3K, and I always keep 1K on my account, so this is 430% within 30 days. And that's why I don't reinvest my money, because 430%. I outperformed Warren Buffett by far. This is not sustainable. Warren Buffett makes 20% a year. I make 430% in a month. That can mean next month can be minus 90%, minus 50%, or even minus 100%. So if this is going to be the case, then I'm just going to lose 1K in total, and I can put more money into it. So let's start with the analysis. Render. About render, we have said so far the purple box between $3.35 to $3.26 is going to be essential to hold. So far we hold it. We held it. Looks good to me. We have a falling wedge. If it breaks to the upside, current price level is going to be the $3.55. It would be positive. There I can think about getting into my first long entry, because I don't like downside trend lines to use as my first entry. In worst case scenario, yes, I will still do it, but my dream is always a horizontal trend line, for example, for this inverted head and shoulders formatation. So we have here an horizontal trend line, which is resistance, but once we break it to the upside, it's going to be support. For example, we have seen it quite often that we can retest this trend line once, this trend line goes down more. So if we don't have, for example, the inverted head and shoulders formatation, then we can just retest it a second time. And then I'm already in losses. And we didn't invalidate this chart pattern. That's why I like horizontal trend lines, because with that I can say, hey, here's the breakout, here's the retest, and if we are going to drop lower than this trend line right here, then I can get out of the trade or set my stop loss on a good point where I say, hey, here I'm ready to lose the trade. So anyway, $3.55, if that breaks to the upside, positive target first is going to be the length of one shoulder. $3.70. Always keep in mind inverted head and shoulders formatation. The least bullish target, $3.70. The most bullish target is going to be here at $3.82. And this would also be the breakout over $3.70. So here I can increase my position size for render if we break to the upside. Next target, $3.93. Here I would be a bit careful because the overall market structure looks to me that with a high chance we should see a push, maybe even a bit more, maybe a bit less. We first have to break to the upside to actually activate that scenario. But afterwards I expect a huge pullback. Afterwards, altcoin season. We already see that the money from Bitcoin went into Ethereum. Ethereum made new all-time highs, while Bitcoin was away from its all-time high. We see that Solana is currently outperforming the coins. We see that BNB and the hype coin, which are not on my list, but they are also all-time highs. So the money goes from Bitcoin into Ethereum and from Ethereum into the other large caps, and we slowly see that Solana is outperforming. Next coins are going to be the other good top 20 coins in my opinion, or top 25 coins. Sui, Avalanche, HBAR, Dogecoin, Render. Those are all top coins in my opinion. And for the whole altcoin season, we are going to trade differently. But for that, once we see the beginning of the altcoin season, like we are already in the altcoin season, but once we see the beginning of the smaller coins like mid caps and also the other large caps, if they are going to be in a good area where we can say, here the altcoin season can start with a very high chance, then I'm also going to change my daily updates a bit differently based on the market circumstances. So for the altcoin season, I'm trading more differently because there is huge potential. Also, we have set here in the past head and shoulders formatation, which broke to the downside, got its retest. Target was $3.26, that box. Let me just take it out, even though we got this spike to the upside because of Jerome Powell. I can take this one out of the chart. And this one here too as well. So for now, $3.55, if they break to the upside, positive. If we lose the box, price mark $3.28. Then I would actually look for a more bearish scenario, which I currently don't have in mind because I don't have the chart pattern for it. So I can't tell you where the price is going to go. It might be possible that we are going to see the fair value gap down below here before we start the altcoin season. But we have to look at the overall market performance. Like if the other coins are selling off into areas which we can define and where we can also say, here we are going to turn into a bullish cycle, for example, the altcoin season, then Render is most likely going with it. Yeah, just because here's the fair value gap and Render is somewhere here, it doesn't mean that all the coins are going to have an altcoin season while Render is still doing this. They are still correlating with each other, even though in the altcoin season they are doing whatever they want, the coins. But anyway. So what about TAO? So for TAO, similar setup. And that's what I want to tell you with Render. I don't like down trend lines. Breakout, retest, follow through, second retest. We are still bullish for TAO on the short term. So basically, the first trade which I would like to do for TAO is once we break the $329.50 to the upside. Then I can take, if I have the setup, breakout and retest. So breakout, retest. Here you can see it from the other side, for example, breakout, retest. And if this retest was too fast, and this is too fast, I can't trade it then as well. Then I have time to get into that retest, or even the time to get into this retest. So we have always many opportunities to trade. Just because we miss out this one chance, we will get far more chances in the future. Anyway, breakout, retest, $329.50. It's long to me. With the well thought risk management, once the $343 breaks the upside, then I can increase my position size heavily into the $355 to catch all the stop losses which are set into that area, and the fair value gap which we have up here, inclusively that inverted head and shoulders formatation, and that's why I want to get into the trade once we break the $329.50 to the upside, because this is going to get activated. For sure, we always take the length of one shoulder first, so the least bullish target, but the most bullish target is still on the chart and it's leading us into a fair value gap. So basically here's also a huge profitable trade possible if we put leverage on it. We have also said about TAO that $314 to $307 is going to get very realistic. With this price movement here, we got perfectly closing the $307 where we had the fair value gap. We still wicked lower than that to build a bullish divergence in the RSI. You can't see it. Now you can. So here is a bullish divergence. Higher low in the RSI, lower low in the chart. Afterwards, some positive price momentum to the upside. So keep that in mind. This can always happen. If we don't form bullish divergences, they can get formed afterwards. That always means a lower low for us in the chart. So for TAO, I can't say much as long as we don't break the $303 to the downside. So this low right here. Once we take this low, well, we have to go into the 4-hour chart. It might be possible that this here is a head and shoulders formatation. Least bearish target is going to be this one, that we are just going to wick a bit lower, but we have a fair value gap down to $200. So I would be careful for TAO. And yes, it is a lot. It is minus maybe 35%. What did TAO do in the past? From the top here to the low here. Let's take here to measure it. Minus 76%. So everything is possible. But also, if we get into that fair value gap, we still have our bullish chart pattern in orange, that falling wedge. It's leading us to $745. And even other bullish chart patterns which are leading us to $830. So just because we are going to get, for example, a nice push, but afterwards the crash of 33%, altcoin season, it's going to happen. It's already beginning. It already began. Then I want to take a long trade down below here because this price movement is already 250% up to, let's round it up to 300%. So 250 to 300% to the upside is possible for TAO for this whole bull run, for this whole altcoin season. And on the way up, for sure, we can scale up, and down below here we can go with leverage into a trade if we see chart patterns breaking to the upside. So here is a lot of potential possible, and I want to see actually the price getting down, because this is going to happen, in my opinion. So if we look over Kaspa, then Kaspa looks a bit different. Kaspa doesn't look bullish to me, even though we have this bullish chart pattern, this one right here, which is a falling wedge. 8.5 cents is a resistance which we have to break to the upside. If we break it to the upside, then also here the falling wedge is coming from the upside. So we have here the cross. If we break it to the upside, target 9.4 cents. If we get to 9.4 cents, then I can also imagine that we are going to fish the stop losses over the tops. So up to 9.6, 9.7 cents is possible. But first we have to take out the 8.5 cents. That's why I will make this trend line green. Otherwise, we can also invalidate this falling wedge in orange. That would cause a price drop, in my opinion, 7.1 cents to 6.8 cents, which is very realistic. There is a huge fair value gap. We also have here smaller fair value gaps, which adds up into one big one. So basically a 7.6 cents is also possible, but if the coins are breaking to the downside, Kaspa is also going down, in my opinion, 6.8 cents realistic to get. And afterwards we have to see where Kaspa is going to go. Because if we just take for the altcoin season this kind of similar to a double bottom pattern or triple bottom pattern, yeah, we have here a low, we have here another low, and we have here a low. Triple bottom pattern. Not a perfect one, but it still counts. Target 20 cents. And if I can take the trade at 6.8 cents, then I have also here a possible 3x incoming. 200% possible. So let's get to ONDO. ONDO also looks good to me for now, since we are in that falling wedge. Let's first talk about these price numbers, because we had a rectangle, this one right here, and I want to show you again, rectangles are unique. So it is actually a box where we go sideways. We have two targets. One is at 90 cents, the other one is at 98 cents. It doesn't matter in which direction we break first. We broke in this case to the downside. The breakout was already the 90 cents, so we already hit the target to the downside. I can take this one out of the chart. It doesn't mean that we are going to immediately see this kind of price movement. But the target, which we have up here, is still ongoing. There is still liquidity to take. So a box, it develops like this. People are going short in that area. People are going long in that area. So on the upper part it's short, on the lower part it's long. Here is liquidity to take. Here is liquidity to take. Stop loss orders and liquidation prices. In the end of the day, first target got hit, 90 cents. This was this target right here. We still sold off a bit more. Afterwards, where did we go? I can just make here a trend line. Look where we went. 98.3 cents. It is not magic, it is technical analysis. I can take this one out of the chart now. So you have seen it, very interesting. So, what can we say now? Falling wedge, which tried to break to the upside, got its retest, got its follow through, but also here, risk management. We don't go all in with the 100x leverage. Why? Because this can still happen. This chart pattern is still valid, because you can see it here, we got rejected. So, second attempt, hopefully it's going to break and is going to get a sustainable breakout. 93.7 cents. I would also say I don't like to take a trade right here, because you can see we can always break to the downside, and what can also happen is we break it to the upside, and later on we are going to sell off to do let's say here a second retest, and then I would be in losses, and we didn't invalidate this chart pattern. That's why I will put you here a nice trend line, which was our old rectangle where we talked about getting into both directions. I would just take this trend line here. So instead of getting into a trade at 93.6 cents, I'm going to miss how much? I'm going to miss 2%, but I'm also saving myself from selling off, let's say for example 3%, without invalidating this chart pattern. And once we invalidate this chart pattern, then it's actually going to be minus 6%, minus 7%. So just because of those 2%, it's not worth it in my opinion. I would wait for the 95 cents if they break to the upside and we get a nice retest. Like for example, we have seen here, breakout, retest, then I can actually try a long position with a well thought stop loss, for example, lower than this wick here. And then I can actually have a better risk management for a nice push. The push is going to go, in my opinion, $1.13, unless we see some bearish chart patterns which then breaks to the downside. Like for example, we get here a breakout within a rising wedge, which then breaks to the downside. Then I would say, here's my exit strategy. This is my exit strategy. Then here I'm going to get out of my long trade in profits before we get this kind of price movement, because I can't wait anymore for this target. Why that? Because the market circumstances changed and I have to adjust my targets. So this was the bullish case, where I would also say, hey, if we even get up here, we can still sell off. 84 cents. Going to get far more interesting. If we break the 84 cents to the downside, double top pattern. If this is going to be the case, for sure I can always take the maximum length, but for chart patterns in that length, well, it's also going to be 55 cents then. I would say more realistic is then 70 cents in my opinion, right here, this fair value gap. So we have to switch into the 1 hour chart, then you are going to see it. 66 cents to 71 cents is far more realistic in my opinion. And from there also altcoin season, because we have to switch into the 8-hour chart. We also had here a falling wedge in orange, and yes, we can also retest it a second time, but I don't think that this is also a very sharp trend line. Anyway, 71 cents. Then I have to adjust the target, but it still would get us up to $1.60, and this is still a 2x in my opinion, which is very good. Also, on the longer run, double bottom pattern, which we also are not going to invalidate. And I want to get into long positions down below here, because then I have to say, hey, we have this chart pattern, and I have to wait for the breakout at $1.13 to take the push to $1.60. This is here 40%. But if I find a nice entry down below 70 cents, for example, and I just say, okay, I'm getting into long position down below here, and I know with a very high chance we are going to break this chart pattern one day in the future to the upside, 130%. There is a huge difference. So I want to see the price getting down to get into long positions, and this is 130% without leverage. Now put leverage on it. So basically huge potential. So instead of taking 30% or 40% to the upside, I want to take 130%. So all in all, we have bullish chart patterns. The market is also choppy. You can see it also on my trades, where I have several days, like for example here, a whole week I didn't trade. Not even more, 8 days. Then I started a day and it was actually loss. The next day, loss. And then a few days later, I made my profits. Then again, in a row, so many losers. In my opinion, the current market situation is choppy. You can see it, that my analysis are getting invalidated pretty often. But once they work for sure. In the end of the day, I expect if we are breaking to the upside, then we still have to be careful that we are not going to sell off into our dangerous areas. Let's say, for example, here the dangerous price marks 84 cents. If we break it to the downside, dangerous, then we have fair value gaps lower than us, which we are going to take, in my opinion. If we don't break to the upside, then this scenario is still ongoing. So in both cases, unless something very bullish is going to happen and we are going to break the $1.13 also to the upside, I still keep in mind we can sell off a lot. And this is my dream scenario. I want to see getting the prices of all cryptos 20, 30, 40% lower than the current price. So let's just look for how much it's for ONDO. So here it's minus 26%. I want to see that because in that area, I want to look for heavy long positions. Like I'm not starting heavily in the beginning, but once I see we are getting a new cycle, the altcoin season, then I can get into small long positions down below here and scale up pretty fast to the upside because we are going to form some chart patterns in the futures, which we break to the upside. Another one, we break it also to the upside, form another chart pattern, break to the upside, and then I can scale up a lot. And this altcoin season, especially with well thought high leverage, it can be very tasty. And if you like to trade the altcoin season with me, then don't forget to subscribe my channel, and we see each other hopefully tomorrow.